Peter Senge, back to the aspiration, desperation. How many of you have said what we need at some point is a good crisis? By the way, if you're in the finance world right now, we are in a crisis. Does anybody know this? Just kidding. One quick story. So Sharon, in her introduction, highlighted that when I joined the company, Dell, the following year, got to be a Fortune 500 company. That was kind of interesting. What she failed to mention is that I joined the company, and within the first week, the stock got just crushed because there was an allegation that we were suffering from or perpetrating accounting irregularities. Launched an SEC investigation. Life just sucked for me and my colleagues at Dell. Here's the good news. There weren't any accounting irregularities. We just grew too fast. So we had a crisis, and we came out a lot stronger 3 and 4 years later. As we were doing really well, Michael and I were walking through an airport one time on one of those people movers. I said, you know, Michael, things are going so great, we should actually manufacture a crisis. And 2 years later, we had a crisis, which wasn't really a crisis, but HP announced they were going to acquire Compaq, and that became our crisis. And literally, if you added up HP's market share and Compaq's, they were going to not only exceed Dell's, but exceed it by a fairly wide margin, by 10 or 11 points. I forget the exact numbers. However, by the time that deal was final, which was about 9, 10 months later, we actually had more market share than the combined companies. It's a perfect crisis. How can you use desperation to move to the next level? Except it's not enduring. Aspirational learning is enduring. You need to think about that, how you might translate that in your own work life. Personally, and this is why I had Collins in there at all, is because I want you to start thinking about what is it you're passionate about? Why are you even here today? It's not because some knucklehead named Tom is talking to you. It's because you believed in the network. You believe in the organization, right? You believed in the cause. It's good to have a cause. It's a start. It's a start. And your life is going to evolve. And most of you are very young, and you have a lot of years left to live. Figure out what it is. Have the strength and the courage to follow it. And then figure out if you're going to get involved in the community, is it the world community? Is it the local community? What's your niche? How are you going to give back? Because it is in giving that we receive. And that is a very profound biblical statement. Old and New Testament. John Wooden. I'm a sports fan. John Wooden, for you guys, most of you wouldn't even recognize the name, but he happened to be the most successful NCAA basketball coach ever. 10 national champions, 7 consecutive, 4 perfect seasons, holds every record. His proudest moment, by the way, was when his team didn't have great talent, but they finished the year 14-12, and they won their last game, which allowed them to be above 500. And they did it on the backs of great personal sacrifice. John has a triangle. And actually, within the triangle, there's 15 steps, but it's all about conditioning, fundamentals, and unity. Unity. Let's talk about unity. Team. What you can do as a team is remarkable. What you can do as individuals is sadly not as much. Bill Walton, an all-pro, he's a color commentator now, sports announcer, was one of the prodigies on one of Wooden's teams early. They had just won the year before the national championship, had a perfect season. Walton comes back, and he's got a scraggly beard and long hair. Wooden says at the first day of practice, I'm assuming, Bill, that you're going to shave and cut your hair. And Bill said, well, no, Coach, I'm not. He said, well, then, fine. Turn in your uniform, and I'll see you around. Walton was floored. He was the team. At least he thought he was. The coach said, no. You are now transgressing on a rule that affects our team. You want to be a vegetarian, which, by the way, he was. It doesn't affect the team. You want to grow long hair. You want to be an individual out on the court. Not for me. Go find another school. Have a happy life. Bill cut his hair. What's your value set? Teams matter because teams can win. Work-life balance. Sharon sent me a story that came from a journal, sadly, from one of our colleagues who died last year at age 40. He had a profound insight on many aspects of life, and his journal is just a remarkable journal. Well, he had lots of quotes, lots of stories, some poetry, just some stuff that his wife shared at the service where we went to honor him and celebrate his life. And the story that was recalled in there that she shared with me was about the former CEO of Coca-Cola, who talked about work-life balance. And he said, look, think of it as you have 5 balls. One is work, one is family, one is friends, one is health, and one is spirit. You can drop the work ball. It's a rubber ball. It'll bounce back. Work is always there. As one of my old mentors used to say, work is its own reward. Well, if, however, you drop any of the other 4 balls, they're glass. They chip and they can shatter. So you got to figure out which of those balls you're going to keep in the air. So I have 2 slides that I'm going to share with you that have pretty interesting observations from 2 different and pretty noteworthy women. One is Oprah. This is a woman who, if I had asked you before I put this slide up, most of you or all of you would have said, this woman has it all. Except some of her audience thinks she doesn't, because they're asking her, why don't you have children? To which she has a pretty flip answer. But they also ask her, if you go on to find out more about her, why aren't you marrying the person who's been your life's partner? She doesn't want a wife role. That's why. Now I want you to go back to my buddy, the coach. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction, of knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable. In other words, you can have it all. You just have to define what all is. It's not somebody else's definition. It's your definition. You own it. You are an employee population of 1. You are Wanda Inc. And you better damn well take care of your career, because if you aren't, why should I? If you're going to take care of your life, you better. Why should I? There is massive insight in that comment. By the way, he has a great book out, posthumously published, by the way, last year. So Oprah has a pretty interesting quote, interesting story. Indra Nooyi. Indra Nooyi is a former colleague of mine on the board at Motorola with me for about 1.5 years or so, maybe 2 years, and then became the CEO of PepsiCo. And she's a wonderful woman, very gifted. And this is a quote of hers.